for the bilingual counseling video today or podcast that we listened to this week. There were some things that I found quite interesting, and really probably things that I had not thought about that we definitely should, especially being in the schools and having students in our schools that can't speak the English language. And so being aware of that and having some strategies in place for how to try to work with those students and make them feel more comfortable about the counseling process and still be able to help them as well, because I think that's probably a population that's very underserved by our counselors. So sort of what were the things that stood out to me in this video? One thing, I guess the thing that sort of was like, oh yeah, that was the nonverbals, when she was talking about working with a translator and being careful to watch the client for the nonverbal interactions that she's having and not focusing in on the translator. So, because I'm sure that would be something that would happen. That the translator is the one that you can actually understand, and so focusing in on the way that they're saying things, or their body language, or any of the other nonverbals that are going on. So really being cognizant as to who the client is, and so that really stood out to me. Another thing, the responsibilities of the counselor, where she talked about the roles, what were the roles of the counselor and the translator, and specifically talking about confidentiality, that once you bring that third person into the counseling session, what does that do? Also, if the translator is a member of the community of the client, that can certainly affect what's being shared. So trying to meet with the translator ahead of time and set those roles, and set some boundaries about what's going to be expected of each person. Sort of the benefits of speaking in your native language. That certainly one big one is finding the right words to say. If you're trying to translate yourself, from your native language to the language that the counselor speaks, that being able to find the right words for the feeling that you have, that you might not have enough of a vocabulary to be able to actually say what the real feeling is that you're having, that you have to choose some other word that may be similar, but probably doesn't exactly match what the feeling is that you're having. And also that the client certainly would be much more expressive in their own native language, so being able to share more about what's going on. I would think that if you're trying to translate either the client trying to translate into the language of the counselor, or having a translator there to do that, I would think that would certainly limit the amount of conversation that occurs, and certainly shorten it and try to just get as few words in as you can to try to get the feeling across, whereas when you can speak in your own native language, you can go on and on using those all of the words that you have in your vocabulary for it. So what could we do to be more welcoming? Certainly having translators available would go a long way. Having brochures and other information printed in multiple languages, so that not just English, so that clients can realize that there is help for them too, and that you don't have to have a strong command of the English language to be able to get those counseling services. So very interesting, certainly gave me something to think about with this topic. So thanks.